It's definitely a no for me, though.
Wait, that was bad. That was a bow and arrow. Welcome to the AVG Fantasy Football Podcast. That was probably the lamest weapon I could have thought of, but we're here for another episode. My name is Michael Marcanio. I'm the host with the most, and I got Tyler Revelis with me, also known as It's Your Boy T, on the left. And on the other side, we got Anthony Revelis, also known as Billabong Boy.
I was ready yesterday.
I know, you were ready. We got shut down on the live stream. It's discouraging. We got a copyright strike from the NFL, but we're going to counter sue.
Yeah.
We're going to send back the sue, the copyright strike. We're going to copyright strike the NFL. They copyrighted our material. I heard Stephen A. Smith have a similar take as me, which is the ESPN, so that doesn't make sense. And so, yeah, I'm going to sue Stephen A. Smith. And it's more sad that Stephen A. Smith has the same take as me. I'm more upset about that, to be honest. Anyways.
Could you say that you had the first take?
Yeah, I did. He had the second take in this one, actually.
Are you excited to see people that aren't even in the game? Let me
Yes.
tell you that Hunter Henry.
that one call.
He's out.
That was terrible.
It's like, oh yeah, but the linebacker, he's traded. Yeah.
That was really bad. That one time.
I can't wait to see Christian McCaffrey this week. All right.
He's not that right. But yeah, we did get shut down by the NFL from doing our Thursday night live stream. So I think we're gonna still do the live streams. We're just not gonna be able to add in video for the companions. But we gotta stay. I was pretty upset about it, but we gotta stay chipper. Gotta stay chipper on it.
The strike?
I mean, you can argue back and be like, no, this is, we could technically.
Pretty sure we would lose. I say
yeah.
What do we got to lose? Strike
I
two?
mean, technically it's fair
channel.
use, technically. So
Technically what?
I don't know. I don't fucking know, man. I don't know.
Dude,
We'll look into it.
All right, well,
But
we'll pay you the big bucks for that.
It's season 3, episode 63. The AVG Fantasy Football Podcast. We're doing starts, sits today. We're gonna call it more. I have it on the template as start sits, but we like to kind of almost call it love fades, because that's kind of more how, there's some players we're kind of fading, but they're pretty top tier players, so they're pretty high up there. So we wouldn't blame you if you played them, that kind of thing. So like I always do, I put timestamps in the description down below in the table of contents. You can navigate through the episode really easily with that. On YouTube, you can just click on the timestamps and it will bring you right to that episode, part of the episode. Because I understand how it's a lot to listen to an entire podcast, so we get it. So take advantage of those timestamps within the description. It'll be in the table of contents, like I just said. Yeah, and then if you haven't already on the Apple Podcasts app, go follow us, leave us a review, subscribe. Actually, I recently found out if you're already subscribed to us, unsubscribe and then resubscribe. It actually helps with the algorithm pushing us up ahead. So that's also another little trick if you could help us out that way too. And if you want to leave a review, you can write whatever you want in it. We'll read it at the end of the episode. I've been doing it on the end of every episode, reading out these reviews. So if you want to get a little shout out to yourself at the end of the episode, go ahead and leave us a review. It's nice. Also follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter. I know it's not waiver wire today, but we've been doing these articles too, so check that out on the website if you want. I'll throw that link in the description as well. But yeah, that's about it. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter. If you have any start sit questions that we don't get to in this episode, go ahead and just DM us and we'll give you some information. But before we get into these start sits, we got a little bit of news, little headlines. You guys want to start who it was? What happened today, boys?
It's your boy AB.
It's your boy AB, Antonio Brown.
Risen from the dead.
New template.
Signs a 1-year deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Pretty wild.
So yeah, just kind of want to get your guys' thoughts on AB. Mike, you actually called it, a couple weeks ago. We were doing the waiver wire episode, and you were like, go get AB. His suspension's almost over. A team's probably going to take a shot on him. You went out and grabbed him in a bunch of leagues.
Yeah.
And if you were listening to that waiver wire episode, you listen to Mike, and you grabbed AB, now you have him on your team. And, I mean, I don't know his value with this team, but at least you'll have him, instead of now, going to the waiver wire and people trying to get him, put a claim in and stuff like that.
I mean, he's already got the name value right now. So even like you can make a trade right now. If you say you're losing, you could trade Antonio Brown if you have him, and to someone who is doing pretty well, you can get yourself a couple wins in the next 2 weeks because he can't play till week 9.
Yeah, he can't play till week 9. We're on week 7, right?
Yeah,
week 7.
So he can't play for another 2 weeks. So if you can finagle a trade for Antonio Brown for if you're stuck on running backs or wide receivers or whatnot, get some guys in there to start these next 2 weeks that have decent matchups. I'm not mad at it.
So yeah, what is your guys' value on AB? Like, what do you think? Do you think good for him? And how does this affect guys like Mike Evans, Godwin, even Ronald Jones, Tom Brady? I mean, what's
Tom Brady? That's not they love each other, Tom Brady and Antonio Brown, because I think they both understand they have crazy work ethic. So I mean, I think he's more hurting the other people's values. But
yeah, it might make it hard for me to trust Mike Evans if that target share is going to stay where it's at, and now you bring in Antonio Brown. I'm not as worried with Godwin as I am with Mike Evans with this move. And if anything, I mean, it might even make Chris Godwin more effective because now when they have 3 wide receiver sets, Godwin's going to be in the slot where there's not going to be a lot of slot corners that could stop Godwin. So his efficiency could shoot up a little bit. And I think it's just a bump to Tom Brady. Overall, you just give him Antonio Brown another weapon. So, if you're kind of looking at Tom Brady as a low-end one type of quarterback, this could move him to potentially a top 8 the rest of the season, potentially with a move like this.
Yeah, I agree. I think if anything, this helps Brady probably more than anybody because, like Anthony said, just another weapon. I mean, AB out there, we talked about it when we were doing the waiver wire. He's still arguably one of the top 10 best receivers in the NFL, even coming off the streets. Into the locker room now. He's still top 10. So, yeah, I think it definitely helps Brady. If I'm a Brady owner, he hasn't put up these crazy numbers yet, but I definitely like Brady's value going forward. I actually like Ronald Jones' value going forward because you have just another weapon that can stretch the field. And, I mean, he's coming off 3 straight 100-yard rushing games. I know Fournette's slated to come back, but, I mean, Ronald Jones, in my opinion, hasn't done anything to really lose the job or really lose any touches to Fournette, who's, outside of that one game, and he's dealing with the ankle injury. So I think this – if I'm a Ronald Jones owner, I'm pretty hyped. And, if someone wants to trade Ronald Jones, I wouldn't mind going to get him because I think this will just help his value. Obviously, it hurts Mike Evans. I do agree, Anthony. I think Godwin's pretty safe. But what about AB? What's his value here? Are you trying to trade him right now before he even plays? Because his value might be at an all-time high.
Yeah, that's what I said.
With the hype of AB and Brady and this Buccaneers offense. So would you want to flip him for something more consistent right now, or are you just holding on to him to see what you can do?
I'd probably move him.
Yeah, I'm down with moving.
Because
it can upgrade.
Because you're also rolling the dice of I know he came out that week 1 last year against Miami and did, but it was we were struggling at that point.
I still think
Miami was bad. But it's if he has a couple of just average 2 weeks, then now you got to wait for him to boom to even trade him, and then you're gonna start getting into week 10, 11. To Mike said, maybe you can get a piece you can use right away. I'd rather get a piece I can use right away than play that game because he's not going to be a target hog like he was in Pittsburgh by any means. So it's it's a 3-way timeshare, or not 3-way timeshare, but you have 3 quality wide receivers there. On any given week.
That's not even counting Gronk, who's kind of emerged a little bit.
Yeah, so it's he's the one who I think this could potentially hurt a little bit more than maybe even the receivers.
Yeah, I agree. If I have him, I'm probably trying to move him, maybe package him with someone else and go get a better receiver. Maybe try to get a guy like Galladay, just a name that kind of came to the top of my head. Yeah, because there's just a lot of mouse over there. Mike Evans, Godwin, Gronk. Now you have AB in the mix as well. And I don't just see Brady really forcing the ball to anybody. He's probably just going to go with the right read and make the right play. So a lot of boomer bust games for AB potentially in the future.
I don't know why I was thinking of when he had the blonde mustache with the Steelers. I'm is he going to do the red mustache with the Bucs?
I think he's not going to be boom bust.
I think he's going to be more consistent.
Yeah.
So would you trade him?
I think he's a different type of receiver, man.
Well, if you think he's consistent, then you have to do one thing. You have to either kind of knock down Mike Evans or Chris Godwin, and then you'd have to bump up Brady's rest of the season outlook a lot. So if you're gonna say like I'm just based off of like how a target volume distribution is gonna go.
Yeah, I'm just thinking there's just a lot of pieces like Anthony always says, like the pieces of the pie. There's a lot of
and Antonio Brown is a big, tasty, really good slice of pie, and I want to fucking eat that slice the most.
So then, what are you thinking about Mike Evans and Godwin?
Yeah, I mean, I think their value goes down. I agree, but I'm just saying, I was just getting at is if you grabbed Antonio Brown and you are like if you have a shitty record right now, if you're like 2-4, you know, and you need to get a couple wins, and you have Antonio Brown, you just you stumbled across some gold. You're gonna trade that gold to be able to use it in these next 2 weeks to buy yourself a win. You know what I mean? You just got extra value out of nowhere.
Yeah, you just stumbled across a legendary box, dude.
Yeah, exactly. A legendary, an epic crate.
Epic crate. There you go.
You got the ray gun.
Yeah.
So rest of season, AB, you have AB higher than Godwin and Mike Evans?
Yeah.
I think I'd go Godwin.
I go Godwin. I'm
right.
not putting him in front of Godwin.
Bet? I'll be bet that.
Because by the time the season's over, he could drink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost.
All time. What is that?
Just me personally, as a football fan, I'm excited to see AB back.
Yeah,
I mean,
he hasn't made a bunch
highlights,
of,
bro, and you forget how electric.
He's
and
so
how good,
fucking good,
and how good that guy really is.
I only think there's a few receivers who especially even just skill position players that can change like a team, and I think AB's up there. He can change a whole half of the I don't know. I think he can really change the offense. Yeah. And I don't think there's very many players that can do that.
For sure, yeah.
I would also trade him too because I mean he seemed to be a head case for the last 3 years. So you also run that risk if you I'm to the point of capitalizing on the value of the name. So it's like if he does something stupid again in Arians, it's like nah, fam.
Yeah,
we out.
Yeah.
All right, we can talk about the next guy here. We got Le'Veon Bell. We talked about it a little bit, but we didn't really. Obviously, he couldn't play last week, so we're kind of going more into what we think he will do this week. I keep fucking yawning or burping. What is it? Hiccuping.
What is it called when you?
But yeah, he can actually play in week 7. So let's get into what we think he'll do this week. If he's, he's not really on our start sit list or love fade list, but we're trying to figure out. We got to analyze this guy. What are we doing?
Yeah, just a guy that we threw in here because I feel like there's going to be a lot of questions with Le'Veon. Obviously, it's kind of like the AB situation. You got the big name player going to a high-powered offense, and you're thinking I feel like people are instantly putting the bar so high for a guy like AB and a guy like Le'Veon Bell. But, I mean, everything that Clyde Edwards-Helaire did the other day, 165 rushing yards on the ground, it's like he didn't do anything, in my opinion, for them to be like, all right, let's just go get Le'Veon Bell now, and at CEH, go sit on the bench, and Le'Veon Bell, you get all the work, even though you haven't done shit in 2-3 years.
I mean, I definitely don't think they're just going to give Le'Veon Bell all the work, but I think that they could just do a fucking 1-2.
Yeah. So, with that being said, are you going to start Le'Veon Bell this week, or do you need to wait 1 week to see how – I mean, because he just got there, a week ago? 10 days ago, maybe. So he's still learning the playbook and stuff like that. So are you starting him, or are you waiting 1 week to see him in this offense, see how much they utilize him? I mean, like Mike, you said, maybe there's a scenario where they have CEH in the backfield and they have Le'Veon Bell lined up in the slot. So I mean, are you waiting 1 week, or do you feel comfortable throwing him to your lineup this week?
I feel like we've brought that scenario up with a lot of players, and it just doesn't come to fruition. We're 2 running backs. I mean, maybe you'll see it on a few snaps, but. Yeah. We've brought that up, not we, but like just people who talk about fantasy football or football in general bring that up, and it almost never is 2 running backs and 1 in the slot. Maybe for a few snaps a game.
I don't know. Le'Veon Bell's like a different type of.
I mean, you can go Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. That's what people said about Kareem Hunt. Have you seen it on the field? No, you haven't. I can bring up other scenarios too.
I mean,
I'm just
Kareem
saying
Hunt,
it gets brought up, and I don't think it's
was,
something that comes to fruition.
Kareem
very
Hunt
often.
still has fantasy value.
No, I'm saying like we do these both of them on the field, put the guy in the slot. Like that just doesn't really happen.
Yeah. I mean, Le'Veon Bell would line up in the slot every once in a while in Pittsburgh too, though. I don't know. Andy Reid is the guy who he's down to fucking do these insane plays and all this shit. Like, I think that, if any team would do it, maybe, I could be wrong on it, you know.
I think Mike's just got Steelers goggles on right now.
I do.
He's just watching these Steelers highlights of Le'Veon Bell and AB, and he's just like, nah, dude, they're fucking out here, dog.
Okay, I
Wide
will
receiver
say-
1, RB1.
All right, I will say first game back, like first game starting on a new team, I'd rather play Antonio Brown first week in versus Le'Veon Bell.
So, I mean, yeah, like, there's
On
going to
a
be a
new
lot of
team.
questions. People are going to be like, do I start Le'Veon Bell or do I start X player?
I mean,
Would you feel confident starting Le'Veon Bell?
in PPR
Because I
leagues,
wouldn't.
yes.
I would want to wait 1 week to see how much he's incorporated in the offense. He could come out and only touch the ball 7 times, you know?
I
And
think
it's like
they
he
get
might
him
be touchdown
incorporated.
dependent, you know, to really put up some fantasy value. For
I'm gonna
me,
say-
personally, unless I'm in a pinch of like, I have nobody. Like I'm on my players on. I have Christian McCaffrey who's out. I didn't get Mike Davis. I got players on bye. Maybe I got Cook on a bye or
Aaron
something like
Jones,
that. Aaron
goodness.
Jones, yeah, Aaron Jones banged up. Mixon's out now. All of a sudden, I didn't get Gio because I didn't listen to the AVG Fantasy Football podcast, and I don't follow them. So maybe if I'm in a pinch, that's where I'm throwing Le'Veon Bell into my lineup. But if I have other options, I'm not sitting him over guys like Drake, Ronald Jones, or any of those guys.
I mean,
like
I'm
that.
with you on that, but like, yeah, I'm more in a scenario. Yeah, I'm not playing him over those guys that you mentioned for sure. But yeah, if I'm in a pinch, I'm not mad at playing him in PPR leagues mostly, to be honest.
Yeah, I think you're gonna have to go towards PPR because I personally, I don't think Le'Veon's the guy in the highlights. He hasn't looked like that guy for quite some time. If
Yeah.
you're watching,
He hasn't
YouTube,
played in
it's
Pittsburgh
the
in quite
Steelers.
some time.
Well, you just look at the speed, the cut. It just doesn't look like the same player. So and where I think he's gonna make his initial impact is in the passing game. What they do, Clyde Edwards-Helaire has not been in the field in 2-minute drills and past certain passing situations, and I think that's probably where, to me, it seems like there's something with pass protection that they trusted Darrell Williams more than they did CEH, and I think that's probably where you'll see Le'Veon Bell more to start. Then I still think CEH for at least this week is very safe with the carries, and I don't know how incorporated Le'Veon will get, but like to your point, in a desperation, it's more to the PPR, but I'm not throwing him out there as a top 30 option in week 1.
I'll say he finishes with 5 receptions. 5 receptions for 30 yards and let's say 6 rushes at least and a touchdown.
So you're thinking that Jesus Christ, so you think he's gonna have over 10 touches?
Yeah.
I see. I'll go. He has under 10 touches.
Over 10 touches.
Anthony over
I'm
under
sticking with
10
it.
touches.
Bet? We betting?
I don't know. It's like he could probably get 10 touches exactly. Can I do neutral?
he's neutral.
I don't have to be part
He's
of
going for the push. He's going for the push.
Yeah, push. Dead on.
Okay.
You didn't give me 10.5. You said 10.
All right, I wrote that down for the bet. Okay, yeah. Over under. I say over.
Yeah, I'll say under. We'll move
I
the line to
said
nine and a
yeah,
half.
yeah, there you
Then
go.
9.5
Thank you,
touches.
thank
Over
you.
under. I'll say under 9.5 touches. You
All
say
right.
over, Anthony. You'll go
I'll
over then.
go under. I think the more likely scenario is under.
Okay. 9 touches. All right. Love it. Love it.
He's just gonna be one of those guys where he's probably gonna be the most asked about player of Le'Veon Bell or this player, Le'Veon Bell or this player, and like
Yeah.
it's because it's Le'Veon Bell. You know, people watch these Steelers highlights and then they think of Mahomes and the Chiefs' high-powered offense, and they're just thinking like, "Oh, this is just money. He's going to put up those numbers like he did
Yeah.
with the Steelers." But
He could.
you just don't know how much he's going to get incorporated. Like Anthony said, I would feel super confident still.
What do you
throwing
always
CEH
say?
in
You
the
always
lineup.
say what he's said. Like they signed him for a reason.
Yeah,
Why the fuck would you sign Le'Veon Bell?
I mean,
you're not
he's
gonna
better
use him.
than Darrell Williams, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause that's not very hard.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, let's move on. You guys down? Move on to. We've been talking about these two guys for a while. Sorry, I'm a
Yeah.
Steelers fan, so
Well, it's
you know.
kind of two bigger
Yeah.
names to be
Yeah.
asked about in this week, so sometimes that stuff happens.
Yeah, I feel it. All right, let's move on to our start sits. We're going quarterbacks, running backs. Jesus fuck, bro. That's so fucking loud. Yeah, it's cool because you got your stupid fucking mohawk out. You don't have headphones on. Real fucking funny, dude.
You're the one who set that up on here.
Yeah, you've been saying you're gonna lower.
Oh my god, dude.
Do you see how mad he gets?
No, yeah, because it's ridiculous, dude. You guys are all laughing like it's you didn't get fucking ear raped just now.
I didn't.
I got ear raped because you two fucking homos don't want to wear headphones.
Oh, dude.
I always wear headphones. 99% of the time I wear headphones.
Dude,
you're an angry elf right now.
I am because I fucking hurt
So
my
you know what?
ears. Thank you for not. God. All right, we'll start with the
Mad
quarterbacks.
Mike over here.
Yeah, I know.
dude.
Fucking hey, go smoke a cigarette, dude.
Bro, what did I say?
Dude, I don't care. You call me an idiot and stupid and all this shit.
Yeah, I'm calling you a silly bitch for ear raping me. It doesn't. It says my name's not even Kyle.
All right,
You're acting like a Kyle right now.
Joe Burrow.
You're,
Yeah,
like,
all
you're
right.
acting like Kyle. Don't Kyle's though? You see all the memes with the Kyles like drinking monsters, and like the Kyles will just have all the monsters set up in the room as like decoration.
Yeah,
That's you, dude.
you call me a Kyle.
Yeah, dude.
It's fucked up. All right, listen. Joe Burrow is my start for quarterback.
Your brother.
Yeah, my brother. This is so much fun, guys. All right. They're playing the Browns. The Browns have allowed 1,630 yards on the season. That's the fifth most passing yards. They've allowed 13 touchdowns on the year. Passing touchdowns on the year. Joe Burrow, I think he's going to light it up. It's in Cincinnati. I'm fucking firing it up. I don't have much else to say. I think if you're in a spot, you can definitely stream Joe Burrow as a quarterback in Week 7. All right.
Yeah, Joe Donkey.
I like it.
You like it? Do you?
Yeah, to your point, the Cleveland Browns 19.2 fantasy points per game. So, if your quarterback's gonna go out and get you 20, Joe Burrow does run the ball. The emergence of someone else, T. Higgins, and some of these other guys, I like Joe Burrow. I'm not mad at it.
I mean, he did throw the ball 61 times last time these two teams played on Thursday night.
And that's horny.
I mean, no Joe Mixon, who's been getting, I think, 20, 25 touches on the ground a game. I'm expecting Gio to be involved, but maybe they lean a little bit more on Joe Donkey to throw the ball. So, yeah, probably some high volume passes him there. And he's looked good.
He does look good. You know who else has looked good? Your boy, Matt Stafford.
Matt Stafford. Yeah,
That's
he
your start.
actually hasn't looked
I
too
was like, he hasn't looked that
too
good
great.
yet.
I was trying to.
Yeah. He hasn't looked too good, but he gets this money matchup this week against the Atlanta Falcons, and they can make anybody look good. Mike, you could even go out there and throw 300 yards against them because they've allowed
You're saying that I
310
can't
or
play
more
quarterback?
passing yards in every single game of the season. Now, I know it hasn't been the greatest for Stafford. He only has one game over 20 yards, and he has yet to top 300 yards in any game passing the ball, but I just feel, the Falcons defense, they're just giving it up like Blair, as we say. And, I'm dialing up a 300-yard game here from Stafford. The Falcons also have given up 18 passing touchdowns. That's the most in the NFL. It's in a dome in Atlanta. Both these teams, play better in the dome because that's what their home fields are. So I'm expecting this to be a shootout down in the dirty South. So, yeah, I'm definitely dialing up Matt Stafford, top 10 play this week.
Top 10.
I like it.
Okay, we can move on to. This is Anthony's start for quarterback.
Shit's a lightning bolt.
Lightning is scary.
Huh?
Lightning's scary.
Dude, it makes me horny. I'm not gonna lie.
Does it?
Yeah,
Nice.
there's some right now. Outside, I can hear it.
You can feel it?
I can feel it. My hair's just standing up.
Does-
But anyways, onto my quarterback that I like this week. It's Justin Herbert. I mean, you back-to-back weeks, 3 touchdowns plus. He's been averaging about roughly 300 passing yards, and the Jacksonville Jaguars in themselves are. I mean, they're still a top 10 defense to play against. 1,644 yards in the season. They've given up 12 touchdowns as well. Plenty of weapons for him to throw the ball around. I like Justin Herbert this week. I have him as a top 10 play as well.
Top 10. You heard it here first. All right, we can move on to our sit quarterback for this week. We'll start with. I guess we're going. Okay, we're going to start with Anthony's guy, Cam Newton.
Oh, we're switching it up.
My bad.
Let me pull up his numbers real quick.
Okay, we can go on to Tyler.
No, go ahead to Cam Newton. It takes 2 seconds.
Okay.
I got Cam Newton as a sit this week. I mean, it's partial because I've been trying to research and I was looking. I was like, I don't know. Last season, I didn't realize that they had all these players in the COVID list and injuries with their offensive line. And I think that's from what I've been reading, it's still going to be an issue again this week potentially, and that just kind of scares me. It scares me in the sense of he's only been thrown for outside of the game. Was it up against Miami where he threw for what was his big? He's been averaging about 150 yards a game outside of the Seattle game. So the passing yards haven't been there. I know the rushing has been there somewhat, but with the offensive line kind of beat up, shuffling starters around, I kind of have him. I'm kind of fading him not to a complete bench, but he's just a hair outside my top 12 quarterbacks this week. So not having his offensive line, the lack of weapons in a sense, you could say, with what he's got going on right now, I'm just kind of fading Cam Newton this week.
Yeah, I mean, his fantasy value is all the rushing upside. So if he doesn't get you, 50, 60 yards on the ground and a touchdown, like Anthony said, the passing is just, I mean, Edelman's been non-existent. N'Keal Harry's been non-existent. It's just been, I mean, yeah, they need some weapons. I definitely expect the Patriots to be active at the trade deadline. Maybe go get a guy like John Ross or Alshon Jeffries on the block, or I definitely just expect them to make a move and bring someone else in, because they definitely need more playmakers on offense to help Cam out.
Yeah, and I mean, they're playing the Niners defense, which I know it's not the Niners defense of last year, but it's still a pretty good defense.
Still a pretty good defense.
Unless
they're playing Miami.
In the Fitz magic. What was Fitz magic? And I mean, they have they have a shutdown corner, so it's like these guys aren't, and Jason Verrett, so it's like he could take away the lack of receiving options they have for him. So I think it could be a strugglesome day for Cam Newton against San Francisco. So, yeah.
I like it. All right, we can go on to we go on Jared Goff. Jared Goff.
Yeah,
you liked this guy back in the day, so what's the deal, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, he's had a couple inconsistent games, but he's had a couple good ones. He's had 3 games over 24 or more points, and then he's had 3 games with 15 or less points. I'm going to go with the latter on this one and expect another 15 points or less in a matchup against a stingy Bears defense. The Bears, they've allowed the 10th fewest passing yards per game, and they've allowed a league-low 4 passing touchdowns. They've only given up 4 passing touchdowns, and they've played 6 games. So they're giving up less than 1 touchdown pass per game. The Bears' defense is pretty stout. We've seen Jared Goff, we talk about Baker Mayfield getting happy feet and kind of choking, but we've seen Jared Goff kind of crumble when he gets under pressure. So I'm just not really expecting too high of a ceiling for Jared Goff. I'd rather go out and get some other guys to potentially stream instead of playing him this week. It's just a tough matchup against a stingy Bears defense, so I'd be fading Goff if I could.
Yeah, Chicago Bears 11.7 fantasy points per game to quarterbacks. That's that under you just spoke of, under 15. So, not nice.
Yeah.
Especially when Jared Goff doesn't offer that big, like we just spoke about Cam Newton. At least, there is some safety with Cam Newton, knowing that there's a potential for him to rush for at least 50 to 70 yards on the ground if he's going to be using his legs. But with Jared Goff, he's not going to take off and run very often, so it can make that floor a lot lower.
Yeah. I'm not expecting a lot of points in this game either. I think this will be an under game.
Yeah.
Defense. The Rams' defense is still pretty good, so I think they'll limit Foles' upside in the Bears' offense. So I think it'll be more of a defensive game.
I agree.
Than an offensive shootout.
Do you think they'll beat the Dolphins and Jets 20 punts in a row?
Yeah, that was really bad.
The Dolphins and Jets, I think it was 18 or 19.
Nobody had a fucking
not in a row, but they had like
down.
19 or 20 punts.
Right? It wasn't like in a row, but it was.
But
like
nobody had a third down conversion
in like 18.
Yeah,
it was like, dude, it was so stupid. It was like 0 and 18 combined which means there was like 18. I didn't realize there was that many punts in a row.
Yeah, it was insane.
All right, we can move on to my guy. Here we got, as my sit, we got Ryan Tannehill.
Whoa, dude.
Is this a Steelers fan club podcast?
Yeah, I know. As soon as I was thinking about like posing my argument, I was like, dude, I look like the Steelers are good this year though. Offensively, defensively, they're pretty good.
I'm interested to see finish it, but I'm interested to see this. But go ahead and make your.
Okay, so Pittsburgh's secondary is probably the weaker part of the defense, but I will say that they're still allowing. I'm watching every game, so I'm thinking, okay, the secondary is not that great. Maybe I could play Ryan Tannehill this week. But when you look into it, they're still on like the top like third defense against passing. So it's actually they're not that bad when it comes down to it. And the main reason that I'm kind of fading Ryan Tannehill, this is just I have Ryan Tannehill and I think like Matt Ryan in the league or Matt Stafford, and I'm not playing Ryan Tannehill this week because their left tackle Taylor Lewan is out and they're on their third string left tackle, and there's a guy named Bud Dupree who comes on that side a lot, and I'm I'm gonna go for. There's gonna be Ryan Tannehill's gonna get sacked 4 times, and at least 2 of them are gonna be from Bud Dupree.
That's possible.
The Steelers are averaging a lot of sacks. I think that there's just gonna be a lot of pressure. I don't think Ryan Tannehill's gonna be able to do what he's been doing the past couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm
That's my
interested
opinion.
more in the sense of you bring up a lot of good points. I'm interested more in the senses. I think this is the real first test that the defense has had against. I mean, they played Deshaun Watson when it was like they were with Bill O'Brien and they were a mess. I mean, it's been Danny Jones who trips over fucking nothing, air. The Broncos. I think that was the game where Drew Lock got hurt, right? I believe, or.
Yeah, the Broncos actually gave him a run for their money in that game.
Yeah, so what's his name? Almost. So, and then you had the Eagles. Carson Wentz put up some decent stat line, somewhat garbage time, but he was able to do that. And then Baker Mayfield last week. So it's like this is the first, I think, quality football team with a quality quarterback that they're going to face all year. So that's what I'm saying is like I'm interested to see how this goes. I do kind of lower my expectations with Tannehill. I have to start him in one league because I'm not going to get too cute and go with some crazy waiver wire. Like Teddy B or Tannehill, I'm going Tannehill. So it's like, but I'm interested to see this. Like, just basically, that's all I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Tannehill's been hot. He's been
Hansel.
oh, not the bus one. I didn't know the
He's about to.
no, he's been hot like Hansel. I mean, he has a safe floor. He's gotten you 19 or more points pretty much every single game. He had the dud game against the Minnesota Vikings, which is weird because that's really a good matchup for quarterbacks. He only puts up 13 points in that game right here. But he's got the 4th best QBR. He's got a 70% completion percentage. He's been good lately. So I think, like Anthony said, it's kind of the first test for the Steelers. I just think if it was in Pittsburgh, I'd be a lot more concerned than them being in Tennessee. I mean, he gets Jonnu back. He gets Corey Davis back. So maybe the ceiling isn't as high as it normally would, like the 3-4 touchdown passing games he's had a couple times this year. But
I mean, I'm saying.
I think, like Anthony said, I think you could still start him as a low QB1.
Yeah.
Would you guys go? I mean, I guess with this, I know it's a tough matchup. Would you guys go Drew? And this guy lost 2 of his guys now. So Drew Brees or Ryan Tannehill? I would go Tannehill.
I'd go Tannehill.
Yeah, I mean, I would go Tannehill in that situation, but yeah.
I'm trying to think of see if anyone else. Would you go same game? Would you go Ben Roethlisberger or Tannehill?
I think I'm gonna go Tannehill.
I think I'm gonna go Tannehill.
He's just highly
No, I'm going
efficient
Big
with
Ben.
his passes.
I'm gonna
He
go-
makes his passes
I'm
count.
going Ben.
I'm gonna go because of rushing, but that's a close one for me.
Yeah.
though.
Bro,
Yeah,
Big
and that's the
Ben's
thing, too.
rushing.
He offers
rushing
the
so much
rushing
this year.
All right,
Nice.
that was just like some start and sits right there. I feel like those are some good ones.
Yeah, I mean, I'll play Big Ben. I don't know. I'm being such a fucking homer. I gotta shut up. All right, let's move on to our running backs. We'll go on to our starts. So I have the Green Bay running backs. This is basically if Aaron Jones is out in it or is not playing. I have Jamal Williams and AJ Dillon. They play the Texans. The Texans, I mean, I could give you all these stats and all this different stuff about the Texans defense, but they're just fucking not good. They're literally the worst against the run in yards, a lot of different things. So that's the thing. It's all depends on whether or not Aaron Jones is out or not. But yeah. So I kind of regret doing this one because I was leaning more like he was going to be out, and then we got a notification when we started the podcast that Aaron Jones should be playing. So
Well, I mean, to your point, I mean, if Aaron Jones is out, I mean, Houston's given up. They've given up some monster games.
Fuck ton of yards.
yeah,
a
I mean,
fuck
it's
ton of
like
yards.
ridiculous.
I mean, they're the worst best. I don't know how you say it. The low. They give up the highest yards per carry in the league.
Yeah,
And I mean, we saw the
It's at like
Ravens
7.
running backs gash them. We saw, we've seen them gashed for some big games. So, I mean, to your point, if Aaron Jones is out, whenever I'm looking at it, it's like I haven't done much DFS and what that because I've been busy. But like, if I was doing them, I would be looking at starting running backs that are playing the Texans. To put it that way, like if I was going out and doing these bets and all that, I would be looking at starting running backs against the Texans. Like 2 weeks ago when Dalvin Cook was playing that, or was it Dalvin Cook or they played right? Or it was someone against the Texans. I forgot who it was. I was like, that's my number one running back on the week, and he had like 2 or 3 touchdowns, 150 yards or something like that.
yeah.
So yeah, to your point, if Aaron Jones is out, the Packers running backs have a really good matchup.
I would play Jamal Williams before I would play AJ Dillon.
Yeah,
I think if Aaron Jones is out, it'll be a combo of the two. I think Dillon will be like the bruiser goal line back, but then Jamal Williams will be there. He'll get some carries, but I think he'll be more of like the pass catching back out of the two.
Yeah, I'm just saying like if I'm a betting man, I'm gonna go Jamal Williams versus AJ.
It's a high over under in this one, so
yeah,
if you're expecting a lot of points.
I think it's one of the highest. I think it's like 57.
And Jamal Williams will have the majority of the passing game work too, so that makes me more like him a little bit more, especially in a PPR format. I'm probably flexing him if I had Jamal Williams in a lot of leagues if Aaron Jones is out.
Yeah.
Righty, then we can move on to Tyler's guy here.
Hey, Giovani.
Is this Tyler's guy?
Hey, Giovani.
Hey, Giovani with that mustache.
Hey, Giovani. By the way,
so this is just another situation where the starting running back is out for the week or got banged up. We said it. I forget what we were doing with the live stream.
Yeah, it was a live stream last night.
Before Mike fucked it up. And,
yeah, great. Let's hear more about it.
Yeah, but we said about it, Mixon had missed 2 practices, Wednesday and Thursday, and we're like, hey, go get Giovani Bernard just to be safe because you don't know if Mixon's going to play. Just go get him now before the news breaks. But the news broke this morning that Joe Mixon will be out, so it's going to be the Giovani show there in Cincinnati for the Bengals. They're at home. So, yeah, I was just looking at some games here because I always remembered whenever Gio got a good amount of touches, he would always put up some consistent fantasy points. So I went out through his whole career. He had 36 games throughout his whole entire career. He's touched the ball 14 or more times. And when he touches the ball 14 or more times, he averages over 14 PPR points per game. So he gets to use safe floor each and every time he gets the workload. I'm expecting a big workload for Gio here with no Joe Mixon. The last couple games or just throughout the season, Joe Mixon's averaged 19 or more touches every single game. So I'm expecting Giovani Bernard to get at least 15-plus touches. And like I said, if I'm just going to follow the trend in the numbers. If my guy's getting the workload, he tends to put up production. He's a 3-down back, so he's going to get you some rushes. And then he can also be a capable pass catcher out of the backfield. And if you like Joe Donkey, I'm expecting, 4 or 5 receptions out of the backfield and then like another 12 to 15 rushes on the ground. Maybe he falls into the end zone. He fell into the end zone last week. So, yeah, I do like Giovani Bernard. I think he's going to be a solid RB2 this week, especially in PPRs. And he's still available in a ton of leagues. So, if you're listening to this, go get him because he could potentially still be out. In your thing. And I would start him over a guy like Leveon Bell, but people might not think that. They might think, Leveon Bell,
Oh, yeah, 100% do that. Yeah. At 4,000%. Can you do that? Or go over 100% to 4,000?
I would do that as well.
But if you can, I would. Especially when he's got that mustache in the ESPN app.
Yeah.
Bro,
Just check your waiver wire because there's an RB2. There's a solid RB2 that's just chilling on a good amount of. Let me look it up real quick.
Wave the wire.
Just ESPN to see how many leagues he's available in.
Hey, Giovani.
But
yeah, he's available in 90% of ESPN leagues right now.
That's a lot.
Nice.
So go get him. And I can't even imagine NFL Yahoo all that. I would imagine that it's just as much, definitely over 50%.
He's available in 0% of my leagues.
Yeah. That's because I'm in a lot of your leagues.
Yeah. All right, we can go on to
go get Gio.
The next guy here. We got this is Anthony's guy right here.
We play in like a league where it's like, dude, you have like 40 seconds when news breaks
for sure
to like make a move if they're not already owned because it's like it's not like a dynasty, but we've been playing like 15 years probably roughly.
Yeah.
So it's like, bro, like the sleeper bot goes off and it's like, oh, you have like it's like a rush to the waiver wire to get someone if the news breaks like that.
It's like I want to post it sometimes when I get it, but I'm like, all right, I got to get this guy first, though, because I don't want to – those extra 30 seconds, minutes for me to post it, it's going to – someone could snake me.
Dude, every second counts.
Every second counts in fantasy.
I see where your
Gio Bernard's out there. Go get him.
Yeah, my start of the week is or whatever, my love of the week. Maybe I do love him. James Conner. Tennessee's actually look at like they're not rated as like one of the top matchups, but it comes down to workload and then what they're still giving up 5.1 yards per carry, so they're still giving up a lot of the efficiency on the ground. And then James Conner, you have ever since that week one, or not week one, since he's came back the last 4 weeks, 20 carries, 15 carries, 18 carries, 16 carries, at least a target in every game, and he scored in 4 straight games, and that's with Chase Claypool snaking some of these goal line carries with these little toss arounds. So, I mean, you got to love the volume, what you see with James Conner. The efficiency has been there on his end as well, too. So it's kind of just everything's lining up for, I feel like, what a big game with James Conner. And, I think this could be a little bit more on both sides because you do have a good defense with the Steelers, and then Tennessee's defense isn't bad as well. I think this could be a little bit lower scoring game that we're thinking, which could lead to, roughly a 20-carry game with James Conner.
More like ground and pound.
Ground and pound on both sides, yeah.
Yeah, I like James Conner. I mean, like you said, he's been playing good, and, he's in a contract year, so each game that he does better and better, he's just added money to his piggy bank in the future. Because even if the Steelers don't sign him, someone's going to sign him to a good amount.
What's your guys' because I was thinking about him for a second, I feel like he's been performing, but I feel like his name value, if he keeps doing what he's doing, I feel like you could trade for him and get more. I'm trying what I'm getting at is I think if you were to try and acquire him, I think you could acquire him based off of volume and touches and what he's doing for cheaper than you would have to pay to get someone that's actually doing that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like people aren't stoked to have James Conner in their lineup, or they're not like, oh, I got James.
He's been
Conner.
pretty consistent.
Yeah, they're not like, I got James Conner. He's killing it. But if you look at the volume he's had and the efficiency he's had over the last 4 weeks, and if that keeps going, I mean, he's going to be a top 10 running back the rest of the season at that point. But I feel like you can acquire him closer to maybe 10 to 15 value. Right, if that makes sense. That's kind of my take on it.
I'm with you on that. Yeah, I think you can get James Conner for cheaper than you realize. Yeah, I'm with it.
I would just say if I had James Conner, or if I was to trade for him, I do agree trading for him would be a good idea. I would just try to get Benny Snell as a handcuff, just in case, because he has, been known to get banged up here and there. And if he was to miss the game, we saw Benny Snell come in and put up over 100 yards on the ground. So, yeah, if you have James Conner now, or you trade for him, like Anthony said, which is a good idea, I would just get Benny Snell just to handcuff him. He's one of those guys where I definitely would like to handcuff him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I like it.
All right.
I like it.
All right, we can move on to the next guy here. This is my guy. I got Antonio Gibson. Antonio Gibson, there's a lot of talk about J.D. McKissick this, J.D. McKissick that. And you know what? I'm here to fucking silence that.
You say J.D. McKiss my ass, right?
Yeah, it said J.D. McKiss my dick. Listen, J.D. McKiss off.
PG-13 podcast.
Yeah,
J.D. McPiss off, dude.
Sorry. You see it? Go ahead.
No, I didn't.
No.
But Antonio Gibson, I think, is the better back, but that's just my opinion. They play the Cowboys, who have allowed the second most rushing yards. They've allowed 10 rushing touchdowns. The Cowboys are just letting everyone score against them as well, just in general. They're just allowing everything. There's all this J.D. McKissick talk, but it's not like J.D. McKissick had 20 rushes and Antonio Gibson had 7. It was Antonio Gibson actually had one more rush than J.D. McKissick last week. It was for less yards, but he only had one less target. So it was pretty even split. And I think the worry is that J.D. McKissick is going to slowly start taking over, but I do think Antonio Gibson's a better guy here. And even if they do split carries this week, I think that the Dallas Cowboys will give up enough points to make both of them technically fantasy relevant. So that's why I am starting Antonio Gibson, and that is my presentation. Thank you. I felt like I just gave a third grade presentation. But yeah,
I like it. I mean, yeah, he's playing against the Dallas Blair boys.
Yeah,
they just give it up. So I mean, like I said, even though J.D. McKissick's getting involved in the passing game, he's more of the third down scat back. Gibson's kind of the bruiser. It is a running back by committee over there. That's what it seems like the last couple weeks, but I definitely think there's enough to go around for both those guys to put up some production for your fantasy team.
I would say just don't worry.
The Cowboys are just, like I said, they're just giving it up. That could be arguably the worst defense in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, he's got some big – I mean, Antonio Gibson has big play potential. He definitely has some home run ability. He's the one that's – if one of the two running backs is going to go to 15 carries in a matchup, it's going to be Antonio Gibson. It's not going to be –
yeah, for sure.
It's more than likely not going to be J.D. McKissick. No.
I mean, you never know what can happen.
That's why
Devontae Freeman got 0 carries the other night. So.
Yeah, and I mean, 5 targets. He's still hitting himself. Has had 5 targets in 3 straight games. So I mean, you like to see that. So I mean, I think there's definitely potential for 20 touches in this matchup. Maybe 4 to 6 receptions. 13 to 16 carries on the ground. Especially if they're surprisingly beating Dallas, which I wouldn't put that.
I think they beat Dallas. I mean, Zach Martin's out.
So too.
This front seven for the Washington football team is one of the better ones in the
I think
NFL.
Washington's underrated.
Yeah.
So if you're leaning that way, then that definitely means that the game script could be more towards them running the ball a little more, which, like I said, pushes 20 touches towards his way possibly. And I mean, 20 touches against the Cowboys is like 40 touches against another team. So it's like
For sure.
Yeah.
and then he is the goal line back when it comes down to it. I mean, he's had, when it comes to the red zone, I don't even know if I've seen J.D. McKissick out there. They randomly will throw Peyton Barber out there for some reason, which makes no sense.
He's the Jordan Howard 2.0.
Yeah.
Peyton Barber.
But then they're like, why the fuck did we just do that? Gibson, get back out
Yeah,
there.
for sure.
So I mean, if one of these guys is going to be get the red zone work, it's going to be Gibson. So I do like Gibson in this matchup. I think this might be potentially his biggest week of the year.
Yeah, for sure.
Ooh,
I agree.
I like it.
If you didn't take him, I would have taken him.
You
All
put
right,
that waiver claim in first.
we can move on to Latavius Murray. This is your start, yeah? Okay.
Yeah, so this is kind of a deeper league start. Like I said, I mean, you got a lot of players on bye. You got some injuries, banged up and stuff like that. Maybe you had Mixon. You could probably still go get Gio. He's out there 90% of the league, so go do it. But if you didn't go get him, and you just need a running back to play, I do like Latavius Murray in this matchup. I mean, the news broke today. Michael Thomas, strained the hammy now, so he's not going to play. You got Manny Sanders, who's on the COVID-19 reserve list, so he's not going to play. I mean, Drew Brees has been struggling as it is. Now he loses arguably his top 2 pass catchers. I'm just not really confident in a guy like Tre Quan Smith. I mean, I think his name is Dante Jackson for the Carolina Panthers. He's been pretty good. Their secondary's actually been pretty stout so far this season. But I do like Latavius Murray. He's averaging 4.2 yards per carry. He has 10 or more touches in 4 of the 5 games. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but like Anthony was just saying, you get 20 touches against the Cowboys. That's like 40 touches. It's kind of a similar situation here when you're playing against the Carolina Panthers in terms of the running backs. The Panthers have allowed the 10th most rushing yards and 8 rushing touchdowns. That is tied most in the NFL. They've also allowed the most receptions to running backs and the 3rd most receiving yards to running backs. So, obviously, Kamara is going to eat in this matchup. But I'm expecting, with no Michael Thomas, no Manny Sanders, for the Saints to kind of really just ground and pound this game at home against the Panthers. So, I'm expecting Latavius Murray to get around 10 to 12 touches, maybe some goal line work. If you're in a desperation spot and you need a running back, I think this is arguably his best matchup of the year. So, yeah, I'm not mad at starting Latavius Murray this week.
Nice. All right. You want to move on to the next one? Here we got Justin Jackson.
I mean, last week, 15 carries, 71 yards. The thing why I actually like Justin Jackson a lot on the waiver wire portion, because I thought he was going to receive majority of that passing game work, and that seemed to come to fruition. 6 targets, 5 receptions last week for 23 yards. And, I mean, the Jacksonville Jaguars they play the Jaguars, right? Yeah. 7 touchdowns in the year already, too, as well. I like the workload. I think the rookie and Joshua Kelly has kind of had some struggles. I personally, I could be wrong on this, but I still think Justin Jackson's a pretty talented running back.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not your workhorse type of guy, but he's a quality running back. And, I mean, he's going to see, I feel like, majority of the carries and definitely the passing game work. So against the Jacksonville defense has kind of been giving it up on the ground, 24.7 points per game on the ground. I like that as a play, especially as an RB2 when the landscape's pretty thin as it is. So Justin Jackson, another it's a lightning bolt. It's a double lightning bolt.
Another Thor's hammer lightning bolt. Yeah, I know the Jaguars defense has been struggling. They've given up 30 or more points in 5 straight games. So that's good for Chargers players.
That's a lot
maybe
of
we'll have
points.
another one later on.
Or maybe
yeah?
2.
Or maybe 2.
Or maybe 3.
Lightning bolts
It's a
everywhere.
lightning storm.
All
Do you
right,
ever
we'll
watch
go.
lightning storms on the internet?
No.
Because we don't have them here in Vegas. They're
Uh,
pretty wicked when you see them, like by volcanoes and shit. They're nuts.
volcanoes, bro.
Yeah, we don't know anything about that.
I like volcanoes. You know what I don't like, though? Derrick Henry. I know. Derrick Henry's good. All right.
Bro, are you just on a Steelers? I don't like Tannehill. I don't like Derrick Henry.
I love. Hey, Leveon,
Sit Jonnu Smith. Sit A.J. Brown.
I didn't say that.
Not
Those
yet.
aren't on my
Yeah,
things.
we're not there yet.
Those aren't on there.
All right, go ahead.
All right. So the thing is that the Steelers are not only doing really well against the run, they've only allowed 331 yards on the season. Yes, they've only played in 5 games, but still, that's still pretty fucking good. And only have allowed 3 touchdowns. The thing is that I think teams are realizing they can't run against Pittsburgh, so they're just not running the ball. There's only been 99 attempts on the Steelers. The next most attempts is 123 rushes. And I think that's the Chargers. Yeah, so they're just really I think that teams are just afraid to run the ball. I still think you need to start Derrick Henry because he's good, but I'm just saying lower expectations. I'm not saying sit him. I'm saying lower expectations. I know it says sit right above his name, but just lower expectations. All right, sound good? You guys agree?
I mean, like you said, you're still starting Derrick Henry. He's
you got to start. You got to start him, but I'm just saying
he's just a different breed. That guy's just a different type of human being.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is his worst game of the season, though.
Yeah, I mean, he could have 20 carries for 60 yards, but he'll probably find the end zone. That like an old school Derrick Henry game. I feel like those were old school Derrick Henry games. He'd get you 20 carries, 50 yards, but he'd find the end zone once or twice.
If the Titans can hold Derrick Henry, they can for sure win this game.
Yeah,
If
sure.
the Titans can hold their own running back, they can win.
I mean, if the Steelers. Yeah, you know what I meant.
Like the Titans can hold the
You know what I meant, man,
I
dude.
have to hold you. Why? Because we can win if I hold you.
So don't sit him. I know it, but I'm just saying lower expectations.
Just don't be surprised if he puts up a.
If you're doing a daily fantasy or something like that, he's not going to be a guy.
Definitely,
He's not
stay
gonna,
away
yeah,
in that.
Yeah, you're going to spend too much money on him, and it's not going to be worth it.
Yeah, or if you're doing like tournament plays where you pick a starting lineup, I wouldn't pick him in the top 5.
Yeah. Okay, we can move on to the next guy here. We got Damien Harris for your fade.
Yeah, I'm fading Damien Harris this week, and I know I've kind of been like the Damien Harris believer of just like go get him. He's on the waiver wire, grab him, throw him on your IR, stash him. He had the big first game, 17 carries, 100 yards. Didn't have a good game last week against the Broncos, but nobody had a good game for the New England Patriots. None of those running backs had a good game. James White, obviously the PPR guy, he put up a decent game, but in terms of rushing the ball, none of those guys had a good game at all. But yeah, I'd be fading Damien Harris in this matchup right here. Like Anthony said, the COVID situation with the Patriots and their linemen and all that stuff that's going on. But the 49ers rush defense has been pretty stout. They've only given up 2 rushing touchdowns to running backs through 6 games. That's pretty good to give up only 2 touchdowns through 6 games on the ground. And they've allowed the 10th fewest rushing yards per game. So now you're telling me a team is giving up the 10th fewest rushing yards to a team that has 3 running backs with Damien Harris, Burkhead, James White, and then even Cam Newton will get his rushing yards as well. So he's just touchdown dependent. If he doesn't find the end zone, you're not going to be happy with Damien Harris. He only has 1 catch on the season in 2 games. So I'd be fading Damien Harris in this matchup.
Yeah, I'll speak more to Damien Harris's, I guess you could say rest of season is. I think he's someone that you're going to have to wait on. I think it's going to be a little bit of time before, he did receive majority of the carries, even though there wasn't many carries to go around in that game. It seemed like they couldn't get anything going. He did actually, I was able to watch a decent amount of week 1 and week 2. He actually, I don't know, I'll probably have to pull this up to fact check myself, but it seemed like he was on the field running more passing routes. And versus like where Sony Michel, when he would run a route, he looked a lot better as a pass catching back than Sony Michel did.
Yeah.
So long term wise, what I'm getting at is, I think he's potentially going to be the leader of this backfield on a per carry basis, and it wouldn't surprise me if he starts to get maybe 2-3 receptions a game, and he's someone we're talking about in the RB2 flex range. So I wouldn't drop him just yet. And maybe someone, if he has another bad week, people might drop him after this, and then we could discuss someone who's like kind of pick him up and roster him, but. As far as this week goes, that's a sit for me. That's a no for me, dog.
I'm with it.
It's definitely a no for me, dog.
Okay, we can move on to the next one. We got Devin Singletary.
Single carries.
I
mean, to me, it's just like when Zach Moss is in the game with Devin Singletary, I can't trust any of these guys.
Yeah.
Like his production basically came when Zach Moss was out, but now you incorporate Zach Moss back into this, and it's like they're not running the ball in the red zone. So it's like, what's Devin Singletary's upside? 10 carries. Last time against the Jets, he was only 9 for I can't remember the yards. I think it was like 9 for 36 or something like that, and a few receptions. But his only big game was legitimately came when Zach Moss was out. Now you have Zach Moss back. They seem to be using Zach Moss actually more inside the 20, which is valuable for a running back if you're not touching the ball 15, 20 times. So I know it's still against the Jets, and maybe he's able to get some garbage time work and some blowout work, but it's a little bit too risky for me with Devin Singletary.
Yeah, I agree. Zach Moss, like I said, he's just eating to the production. Then you have Josh Allen there, who can snake those touchdowns, kind of like what Kyler Murray's been doing to Drake and stuff like that. But yeah, I agree with that. It's just you can't really trust him right now.
Yeah.
So here's an interesting question, I guess. Would you see? I would probably still start Singletary in the situation, but Devin Singletary or Le'Veon Bell, because I feel like it's a question people would be asking.
I think it was still starting Singletary because his role. He's going to get a decent amount of touches. Like you said, he's kind of like I feel like he's kind of like the 20 to 20 guy. So he should be able to get a couple of catches. Maybe like 8 to 10 rushes, and then if he could break off a big run, you'll take that. Le'Veon's just a question mark. You don't know. He could get 5 touches. He could get 15 touches. Like you have no idea.
He's probably going to get over 10.
I said he was going to get exactly 10, but.
So you agree with me on the over. But, yeah, I would play Devin Singletary there. Yeah, just to the matchup. Like, they'll go ahead, give the ball to Devin Singletary. I like it. Over Le'Veon Bell, not to play this week. Okay, we can move on to the next guy here. We got Kenyan Drake and also Chase Edmonds. You're saying fade the Cardinals running backs. Who?
Drake. Drake.
If I would have said if Mike was still on the keys, I would have been like, who? He'd be like,
Shut up.
What?
Shut up.
What are you fucking high?
Mike's over there like.
Got a good brain.
Thanks, dude. Thank you.
But no, yeah, I know you're thinking like, oh, Drake just had this monster game against the Cowboys.
no,
Why
or
are
yeah.
you fading the Cardinals running backs? And I mean, obviously you're starting Kenyan Drake in here because he's getting a ton of workload. I would not be playing Chase Edmonds. Like I said, I'm still starting Drake. I'm just tempering expectations. I'm not starting Chase Edmonds. The Seahawks, they've given it up through the air, but they've actually been pretty stout against the running backs. I don't know if it's just because they give it up through the air that people aren't really running the ball on them. But in 4 of the 5 games, the Seahawks have held running backs to under 75 yards. And they're only allowing 3.9 yards per carry. They've allowed just 3 rushing touchdowns to running backs. And like we just said, I literally just said it. I forgot that Drake was going to be the next guy up. But, I mean, they'll get to the 1-yard line, and we'll see Kyler Murray, do those RPOs, and he'll take off, and he'll get the rushing touchdown instead of Drake. So it's just kind of limiting his upside. I mean, Drake's still seeing around 18 touches a game. He's still not getting utilized in the passing game for whatever reason. I just don't understand it at all. You think that they would want to incorporate him in that aspect. But still getting about 18 carries a game. But, yeah, I just think the upside isn't there. I would actually be trying to move Drake if I could after this big boom game that he just had. I think the schedule gets a little bit tougher for him going forward.
I mean, he had 3 easy games and only did well in one.
Yeah.
By the way,
I'm just limiting my expectations of what he could. Yeah, he had the monster game. Don't expect that again this week.
By the way, Kenyan Drake, Kyler Murray got the touchdown called back. That's his first touchdown. The second one was on like a 60-yard breakaway run when he could have stopped and ended the game by kneeling, and he didn't, and he went for the touchdown. So if you didn't get
incentives, dog,
if you didn't get those,
he's like, dog, I need to get these yards and touchdowns.
No, you're right.
Get paid.
But I'm just saying is like if he didn't get those plays, then he would have had like 8 points. So,
The thing with Drake is like he's turned into more of a standard running back because he just has no receiving upside.
Yeah.
He's like we're talking about in the past of like a guy like Sony Michel, where he's getting you 18, 20 carries, but 0 receiving upside. That's Kenyan Drake right now. And it sounds gross.
I mean, when we were discussing him, and I know English ham sandwich. In our early rankings, we were like, we looked at the way the volume was going with the team and their distribution, and we were like, he's probably a safe bet for 40, 50 receptions on the year, and that's what I thought as well too. Even if the efficiency came down, because I was like, okay, I could see him on a full season, not Lamar Miller, where it's like, he finally gets a chance to have a full workload and the efficiency comes down a little bit, and he's a 4.2 yards per carry, does some things. So I was like, okay, that's kind of the floor I could see, but I still saw at least 30 to 40 receptions, maybe even push 50 or 60 on the high side, but it's just not. That's, like I said, that's been the big surprise. Would you start Kenyan Drake or Antonio Gibson against Cowboys?
I think I'd actually go Antonio Gibson.
I think I would.
Me too.
It's like Drake could have a game where he gets you 18 touches for 90 total yards, but if he doesn't fall into the end zone and he gets you one, maybe 2 catches, what's his ceiling in PPR? 10 points or 10 points, 11 points right there. So I mean, in 18 carries for 90 yards is pretty good, in terms of like running the ball wise. But if he just doesn't fall into the end zone because he's getting snaked by Kyler Murray, and then for all they get in close and they give Edmonds the goal line carry for whatever reason.
Yeah, and I mean Gibson's getting the goal line work, so I mean at least you have that with him. And I mean Drake could go out and throw out a no catch game or a 1 catch game versus where Gibson seems to be getting at least, especially in PPR formats, he's been seeming to get 5 targets for 3 weeks straight. So let's just say he gets another 5 targets and gets 3 or 4 receptions on 34. That could almost be what Drake did rushing.
Yeah.
So I think I'd do Gibson too. Actually, as crazy as that kind of sounds to say, but
it's not
the
crazy.
Cowboys just made Drake look like old Drake.
Yeah.
Drake! Drake!
All right, let's move on to my guy. Oh, no, just kidding. Josh Jacobs. We'll talk about Josh Jacobs.
Oh, my guy, dude. Yeah, this is like it's kind of like a twofold situation. First off, the Bucs run defense is a good defense.
They're pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, they've shut down the likes of I know they lost, what is it, Vita Vea, whatever the fuck his name is.
Vita
Vea. But the scary situation about this part is the Raiders could be without their whole offensive line.
Yeah.
Now, if they are without their whole offensive line, I am finding not almost anyone, but I'm finding someone with a guaranteed volume to go with, because I can't trust Josh Jacobs, even if he gets 10 to 15 carries with no offensive line. But he may not even see that, because this team could be going straight to a potential blowout situation, and he might just be. You got to hope for PPR at that point. It's just kind of a scary situation with that offensive line. The whole offensive line potentially missing. That's kind of.
What is the reports on that? Because I know one of the guys tested positive for COVID. So due to the contact tracing, the whole offensive line has been away from the facility, correct?
Yeah.
And now what is have you heard? I haven't really looked too much into it, but what is the protocol, or what's the next step for them to potetially play?
It's multiple
Sunday?
days of testing that they have to test negative, and I don't know the technical stuff of it. I mean, I think ultimately, what my decision is going to come down to is maybe how many offensive linemen are missing and whether I'm going to start him or play someone else. But I mean, I think even if he's missing 1 or 2 linemen with the, I would be starting guys that you could pick up off the waiver. I'd start Giovani Bernard or Josh Jacobs this week.
Yeah.
And that sounds kind of crazy to say, but hey, I'm here to fucking win the week. I'm not here to just tie myself to an ugly situation this week. And it's not like they're playing the Cowboys. And okay, I'm still okay with that. They're playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who legitimately shut down some of the best running backs, week after week. And I'm not saying Josh Jacobs isn't in that tier, but I mean, I'm just a little nervous for this game. He's definitely outside of my top 15 plays. I'd be starting guys like Ronald Jones over him for sure. Todd Gurley, some of these guys. I'd go Antonio Gibson over him if I had him.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like you said, the Buccaneers' run defense for back-to-back years, it's not like they came out of nowhere. Last year they were really stout as well. Like you said, they've stuffed CMC, they've stuffed Kamara in the past. And they were doing this against starting offensive linemen. So now they might on Sunday be playing against backups and practice squad linemen. I would only assume that they're going to continue to be pretty stout up front. Stuff in the run and stuff like that. He'd be more touchdown dependent. I mean, obviously he's getting involved in the passing game. He'll get you 3 to 4 receptions, so maybe he'll have a safe floor in that aspect. But I just think the upside of he's had a couple 2-3 touchdown games. I think 100 yards. That's definitely not there this week in my opinion.
Yeah, his big games that came in his touchdown games, which were 2 touchdown game and 3 touchdown game. Outside of that, he's had some games that are kind of not bust, but they've been disappointing,
mediocre.
Yeah.
Alrighty then, we got.
Pirate.
Where the fuck did I don't. Where did he go? I must have not added him in here. Damn it.
Did you lose it?
Who's your guy?
It's James Robinson is my other sit. I'm just gonna be quick on this because I don't have it in here.
You can talk about it as long as you want.
We're on pace for 2 hours. All right, plays. They play the Chargers. I just think that the Jaguars are going to be playing from behind. So I just really think that it's going to be a rough spot for James Robinson. Chargers defense has been pretty decent. I just think the game script is going to be bad. They've only allowed 3 touchdowns to running backs on the year. The Chargers. So there's a lot of incentives. I think that this Chargers team is going to blow them out, and I think James Robinson's going to be game scripted out. Know what I'm saying, boys?
I know what you're saying.
Feel me's? That being said, we can move on to our wide receiver starts. We'll start with me. This is my guy right here, Christian Kirk.
Is this another homer pick?
Not really. I mean, I'm a Steelers fan, but I do like the Cardinals. They're playing the Seahawks. From what we've learned over the season, is that the Seahawks like to give up a lot of yards and receptions and a lot to wide receivers. Just passing in general, their secondary is just not very good. The Seahawks allowed 38 points per game. And what's the status on DeAndre Hopkins? Because he might not play. It's questionable. So if DeAndre Hopkins might not play, I mean, go deep, dude. Christian Kirk, 3 touchdowns. Let's go. I think he's like the fucking best flex option if you're doing daily fantasy. It's hornier than a bitch. All right.
Yeah, I mean, if Hopkins is out, it definitely bumps up his target share in this matchup.
And yeah, so fire up Christian Kirk.
And I'm going to assume the Seahawks are good enough to score touchdowns against the Cardinals, and so which means they're going to have to throw.
It's going to be a shootout, I think.
I'm not mad at it.
It's going to be a good game.
Yeah.
I'm actually excited to watch it. All right, we can move on to the next one here.
Kyler Murray was like terribly good last week. He was like 9 for like 25 or something like that. It was like something stupid.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just.
I know what you mean.
I was
is
like,
weird.
I remember looking at his numbers and I was like, dude, was he that fucking like?
Well, it's like
Normally Diop will have 9 catches. Kyler Murray had 9 completions the whole game.
Yeah, 9 for 24.
You'll see. Like last week, Big Ben, we scored 38 points. You would think Big Ben had a big game. He didn't. He put 10 fantasy points up.
He was Little Ben.
Yes. Still more than Aaron Rodgers.
Your boy Little B.
Okay. We got. Let's go on to the next one here. We got Mike Williams.
Mike Williams.
All right, Mike Williams, he's my guy. So I'm kind of lightning bolt.
Fucking lightning storm out here.
So just like Anthony said, he likes Justin Herbert. The Jaguars, not a good pass defense. Like I said, they've been giving up 30 or more points in 5 straight weeks. So definitely like me some big Mike Williams. That last game on Monday night before the bye, he put up 5 catches for 109 yards and 2 touchdowns. I know a lot of that came after Keenan Allen left the game with back spasms. Keenan Allen is slated to be back. But, I mean, we kind of just saw that, Justin Herbert's not afraid to sling the ball out there. I mean, Herbert actually leads the NFL with 3 50-plus yard touchdown passes. And when you think of what Mike Williams is, he's that deep threat guy. You see that right there on the highlight. He just goes up there and he gets the ball. The Jaguars have allowed the league worst 73% completion percentage, and they've allowed the 7th most passing yards per game. So, like I said, if you like Justin Herbert like Anthony did, you got to like you some Keenan Allen. You got to like you some Mike Williams, Hunter Henry, and these pass catchers for the Los Angeles Chargers. So, yeah, I do like Mike Williams as a solid flex guy with wide receiver 2 upside this week.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm pegging Herbert for 3 to 4, upside of 3 to 4 touchdowns in this matchup, I mean, I'd say
give it to Mike.
Your guy Mike is probably the top to score at least one of those.
Yeah,
You
just saw Monday night like what Mike Williams can do when he's targeted and why he was drafted as I think the 7th overall pick in the draft a couple years back. I mean, I don't know.
He can have some down weeks, but this is definitely a matchup where it's like it's the everything's pointing towards a very potential good game or big game. The upside is huge, so
yeah.
Yes, it is. Oops.
Did I scare you, bro? Did I pop your eardrums?
No, you didn't. It's okay. You did fine.
Start.
It's mine. Your fucking brother's calling me. All right, we got Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, I mean, Terry McLaurin. I mean, I feel like we could just talk all day about how bad Dallas's defense is.
Insert Cowboys defense.
Yeah.
72 receptions in the year, 1,008 yards, 11 touchdowns. They're, I think, second in touchdowns. Terry McLaurin, I think he's top 5 in targets in the league. Dallas isn't going to be able to stop Terry. He's going to do what he did right there against Miami last year. 100.
Nice.
I'm saying 100 yards and a touchdown.
What is that
McLaurin
dance?
this week.
Yeah, he's got like top 5 upside this week.
I was gonna say I would if I was putting him as rankings, he'd be in my top 10.
Yeah, for sure.
I like it.
I don't even need to say much because it's like if you're considering benching straight, don't even think about it.
Yeah, just expect a big game. All right. I put this guy in here, Marvin Jones, but I'm more talking about all the Lions receivers. Yeah, they play the Falcons. If you're playing a team that has a bird as their logo, the Seahawks, the Falcons, fucking light it up. The Cardinals is a little bit better, but if they got a bird, light it up. I think Marvin Jones hasn't really showed up this year, but I think if he's going to in any of these games during this year, it could be in this one. But I think you fire up any Lions wide receiver. Obviously, we'll talk about, some other guys that play on the Lions in a minute. But I think as a deep flex play, this is like pretty deep though. Deep flex play, you could play Marvin Jones. I could see him hitting the end zone real hard, really hard.
Yeah,
really
hard.
Really fucking hard.
He always has like that game where he just goes out and gets like 7 touchdowns.
Yeah.
This might be that game.
For sure. Like I said, if there's one game where he can find – he's disappointed for sure this year. Even in games without Kenny Galladay out there, you were expecting him to have some pretty big games. But I think he's better with Galladay on the field. And like I said, if there's one matchup where he's actually going to come out and put up a double-digit touchdown game, this is definitely the matchup where he can exploit that.
Yeah. This could be is this the highest over under in the week?
I think it's 55 points, so that's pretty high.
It's pretty, yeah.
I think the Packers is 57 with the Texans.
So it's up there. But, yeah. No, I like it, Mike.
Let's do it.
I think it's one of those guys. So sorry, 2 seconds. Like if I'm in it, I'm kind of like I have one league where I kind of have a desperation flex situation. I might throw that Marvin Jones out there. Like fuck it. Like if he gets me 5 points, cool. If he gets me 35, because he could do that. Then it's like hella cool. Then it's hella cool, bro.
Yeah.
Fam.
I do get you, fam.
All right,
Let's move on to the next Bay. T. Higgins.
All right, well, I'm kind of sticking with this trend of, and I had no idea who your guys' quarterbacks were going to be, but I'm just kind of sticking with this trend of going with your quarterbacks passing options in Mike Williams and T. Higgins. But, yeah, your boy T. Higgins over here, he's kind of really emerged the last couple weeks. He's averaged 8 targets a game the last 4 games, 10 or more PPR points during that 4-game stretch. And during that 4-game stretch, he's actually wide receiver 17 in PPR format. So he's a top 20 wide receiver the last 4 weeks in PPR. The Browns have allowed the 6th most passing yards per game and the 3rd most touchdowns to wide receivers and the 2nd most receptions to receivers. These are all reasons why Mike liked Joe Burrow. So you got to like his passing options, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins. AJ Green could probably even have a good game in this one. So, yeah, I do like T. Higgins in this one. He's turning into a set-it-and-forget-it guy, even being in his rookie year.
Yeah.
Plug him in.
No, I like it. I like it a lot.
All right, we can move on.
Like you said, especially in PPR formats. I mean, it's hard to get away from a guy with seeing 7, 8 targets.
Yeah.
Yeah. So many targets. Okay, but don't lie, though. You put him in here because his name's T. Don't lie, dude.
Your boy T wants to talk about his boy T.
All right, dude. Don't lie to me, though.
It's a double T.
All right, we can move on to Tre Quan Smith.
Will he be Tre Quan or Duquan? This is kind of, for me, this is more of like in the Marvin Jones territory where it's like this is a guy where I'm not mad at taking a shot. I mean, you have, no Michael Thomas, no Emmanuel Sanders. He's on the COVID list. So it's like, I mean, Drew Brees is going to have to be thrown to somebody. I actually have Carolina winning this game. It might sound crazy to some people, but, I mean, their defense is actually playing pretty decent. Teddy Bridgewater is, moving the ball with, Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore. And then Mike Davis is kind of basically almost Christian McCaffrey. He's not that, but he's been like it for fantasy.
He's like you ordered off a Wish and like you don't get exactly what it was supposed to be, but it's like just good, almost as good.
Dude, this works just good enough. So it's like I actually think that the Saints are going to be trailing. They're going to be throwing. I mean, it's not a lot to go off of, but when Tre Quan Smith in his last couple times he's been targeted 4 or more times, he's had at least 4 receptions and 40 yards in the 4 games I was able to track. But it's kind of spotty with that. So, but I mean, I think there's a pretty decent chance he gets 6 to 8 targets in this game. So, like I said, this is a little bit of a deeper start, but if you're in a pinch, I'm not mad at Tre Quan Smith.
Light it up, Tre Quan Smith. Remember when
He's
he
got
got
to throw to somebody besides Kamara.
bro? I got.
Or does he?
Remember when he got 2 touchdowns and I totally called it?
Yeah, dude. But you were just like, hey, you know what? I actually meant that for next week.
Yeah, it was like 2 weeks later. We can move on to the next guy here. We got my sit. I went back and forth on this. I was going Cooper Kupp, Allen Robinson, Cooper Kupp, Allen Robinson. I know these both are decent guys, but I'm going with Cooper Kupp. They play the Bears. Bears are really good defensively. I think they've allowed, I think, the least amount of points to wide receivers, fantasy-wise.
1 touchdown on the year.
1 touchdown on the year. What else you got?
68 receptions, which is that's a bottom 5. Just looking at the numbers quick. 971 yards, 1 touchdown on the year. So 17.2 fantasy points per.
I think they're the 3rd or 4th. I think the Rams are actually the best against the.
Yeah, the Rams are 16.3, and
yeah.
the Bears are 17.4. So I mean, if you're dividing that up between him,
Yeah.
Robert Woods, whatever we got going on at tight end, I mean, that's not. You're kind of almost hoping for the end zone.
Yeah.
At this point.
And
like you said, you like the under a lot in this game, so it's not.
And Robert Woods is questionable right now. So I don't think that means that Cooper Kupp's going to come out here and just kill it. I think it actually might hurt him a little bit.
Yeah,
because I think the defense can focus on him more. So yeah, I'm saying you can fade Cooper Kupp in this matchup. You might be put in a spot where you have to play him, which is understandable, but I would say temper expectations then. That's just my opinion. Tyler's looking at me like he disagrees.
No, I mean, I was gonna say, like, I've kind of stayed on the trend of taking the receivers for your guys' quarterback, and now you've kind of done the flip side of where I don't really like Goff, and I had no idea who you guys had picked.
Yeah.
So it's like you've kind of done the opposite. Like, I don't like Goff, and you're kind of saying, well, like, there's, if Goff doesn't do good, then it's kind of hard to see if, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, and all these guys. I think it'd be hard to sit Cooper Kupp depending on your depth, but I agree with you. I mean, you just look at the numbers there. The Bears' defense has been
very stout.
Pretty stout. One of the best, if not the best, against quarterbacks and receivers this year. So, yeah, I'm not mad at it at all.
Well, my problem is I wrote down all the notes for Allen Robinson, and then I changed it to Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
So
I'll throw out some names. I mean, if just a couple, we could do a couple real fast. Odell Dookie Beckham or Cooper Kupp.
I'll go Odell.
I go Odell.
And I hate Odell.
Against the Bengals, yeah. And it is in Cincinnati. Okay, yeah.
What about this is an interesting one. Let's go Chase Claypool or Cooper Kupp.
Chase Claypool.
I mean, I guess you got to go with the
Hansel. So hot right now.
like Hansel
The hot hand.
with Claypool.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
I'll do CeeDee Lamb or Cooper Kupp.
I'll go CeeDee Lamb. I mean, he's 5 catches every single game, so
especially in a PPR.
You're getting a safe floor there with CeeDee Lamb.
Oh my god.
All right, those are some good ones to my house people.
Yeah.
I didn't even go. He's a lot lower in rankings, but your boy Mike Williams over Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
The upside for Mike Williams to catch up. I mean, it could literally take one catch from Mike Williams, 150-yard touchdown, and that's it.
Yeah, that's probably not going to happen with Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
That's a good comparison to Chase Claypool one
just
too.
a tougher matchup for Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we can move on to the next sit. We got Jarvis Landry. Yeah. What's your thoughts?
So this
here?
pains me. My guy Juice here. It's
breaking his heart.
It's breaking my heart, dude. I love Jarvis Landry, one of my favorite players. But I mean, he's still dealing with the hip injury. I mean, who knows if he's 100% from that or not? But then he got banged up with a rib injury as well. So I think he's dealing with like a broken rib or bruise, something with his ribs.
Broken, yeah.
Yeah, and it's pretty bad. But hashtag interesting stat. Jarvis Landry has more passing touchdowns than he has receiving touchdowns on the year. My guy is not a quarterback. He is a wide receiver, and he has more passing touchdowns than receiving touchdowns on the year. And then we just think of Jarvis Landry as being like this PPR guy all those years in Miami, and then even the first 2 years in Cleveland, solid PPR guy, solid floor each and every week. He's had 3 games under 10 PPR points. He's only top 50 yards in 2 of the 6 games. I don't know what it is. Stefanski, obviously, they just want to ground and pound and limit Baker's
Well, they want to
upside.
win games, and the way they've been winning games is running the ball and keeping the ball out of Baker Mayfield's hands. And so that in turn ruins their fantasy value.
Yeah,
That's
so
why. That's just my.
There's
what
just
I
no
think.
upside there, and then my guy's hurt as well. So
Yeah.
I'd be fading Landry in this matchup. He's been delegated to just kind of like wide receiver 4 territory, as I hate to say it. And, he's like a depth bench guy, that maybe he's just a fill-in for bye weeks and stuff. Maybe if they get a better matchup, but he just, throughout 6 games so far, he just hasn't produced outside of that game where he threw the touchdown to Odell.
Let's be
Honestly,
real,
that's
though.
crazy. 6 games, he has 1 passing touchdown, 0 receiving touchdowns.
I think next year, if they get a different quarterback, he recovers a little bit more from these injuries. I think he'll be on a better spot.
Yeah, so I'd be sitting Landry this week.
Yeah, I'm with you. We got JuJu, Smith, Schuster.
I forgot I did JuJu.
JuJu.
Wait, is that my first receiver or second? First, right?
That's your first.
Yeah, I mean, for me, could JuJu potentially have a big game? Yeah, always. You could say yes, but I mean, hasn't led the team once in targets yet. There's even been weeks where he's been the 4 option behind the mix of
Claypool,
James Washington, Claypool, Eric Ebron. So it's like I do see this game as more of an under than a shootout. So it's like, how am I going to trust the guy who's on a given week at the very best has been the 2 and has been the 3 or the 4 option some of the time. So, I mean, until I see anything from JuJu, I'm not dropping him, but he's sitting on my bench. I'm not playing him. He's probably outside of my top 35 options. So, I mean, I'd have to have like some receivers on a bye and be trying to not get too cute because he does offer a little bit of a decent touchdown upside. But, I mean, for me, I can't start a guy, who's averaging about 5 targets on the year and just seems to be now with Chase Claypool, you could say breaking out, and now you have Deontay Johnson back. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he sees another 4-target game and just goes out and duds it.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, he had that good game week 1, 2 touchdowns. I think he had another good game weeks 2 or 3. But, yeah, ever since then, he's just kind of disappeared since Claypool's kind of hit the scene. They're just not throwing to him deep. They're using him as more of like a PPR possession receiver, but he's not even getting all the targets. So it's just, I don't know what it is. But the more he doesn't put up numbers, the less likely he'll end up staying in Pittsburgh, and the more likely, I'm calling it right now, clip this shit, Mike, he's going to end up in Miami next year. I'll take JuJu.
Dr. Cucci thinks he's going to the Cardinals.
We need a slot guy.
Dr. Cucci thinks he's going to the Cardinals. What do you?
Everyone just
You
thinks
tell that curly hair fuck that he's going to the Dolphins.
I don't think he has curly hair.
I'm just kidding, dude.
Just kidding. We never
Who's
seen
that
his
guy?
face before.
Great guy.
Great guy.
I
Best
like
man
that
at my
guy.
wedding. All right, we can move on to the next one here. We got Julian Edelman.
It's like these receivers were telling you to sit. I mean, you got Cooper Kupp, Landry, JuJu, Edelman.
I know.
Like
I was looking at
if you
that.
had these receivers on your team in years past, you'd be thinking like, man, I'm stacked at receiver, right? But with like these right now, it's just they're just not putting up points. Obviously, Cooper Kupp's been doing pretty well. It's just kind of a tougher matchup for him. But you said Landry's not doing well. JuJu's kind of falling off, and Edelman's just falling off a cliff outside of that game in week 2 against the Seahawks. He put up 179 yards, but he's wide receiver 47 in PPR leagues. And when you think of Edelman as being this like PPR machine, wide receiver 47, I couldn't believe it when I saw it. He has 0 touchdowns in the 5 games this season, and he has 60 yards. He hasn't topped 60 yards in any game except for that week 2 matchup against the Seahawks where he had the 179 yards. And a guy who's supposed to be this PPR machine, his last 3 games, 2 receptions, 3 receptions, 2 receptions. Cam's struggling. Kind of sticking with this thing. Anthony doesn't really like Cam, so it's kind of hard to like the passing options there for the Patriots. So I'd be fading
weird.
Julian Edelman in this matchup right here.
It's super weird how we kind of synchronized our starts and sits.
So we're all in the same.
It's like our
Yeah.
periods.
Well, I was
have
going
linked up.
to say the same thing.
Dude,
We're
we
all
should
psyched.
adopt that kid.
They're all synced up. Especially you two. You guys are fucking.
Yeah, we're
mom and dad
definitely
in the
we've
house.
synced up for like a year and a half.
I mean, and then even to your point, it's kind of astonishing looking at his numbers a little bit closer. The defender Jason Verrett. I mean, 36% catch percentage on top. So I don't know how much he's going to shadow Julian Edelman, but you don't want someone shadowing you who's going to give him a 36 catch percentage. That's 1 out of every 3 targets. Also, on a fantasy point per route run, I don't know if I've ever seen a number this low. It's 0.05.
That's pretty
That basically is. He's essentially shutting him down to like fucking extinction.
Yeah.
So
Dude,
it's like
our boy Julian Edelman's endangered right now. He's an endangered
and
wide
he's as old as
receiver
a fossil at
species.
this point in NFL
Yeah,
years.
he's old, and he's definitely missing his boy Brady. I'll tell you that much.
The Falcons Super Bowl, it seems like it was forever ago. That was the
really
last time I
does.
remember him being good.
It really does.
All right, we'll move on to my guy right here. I think a lot of people are going to be looking at Henry Ruggs and thinking, oh, this guy just fucked shit up against the Chiefs. Fuck shit up. I think he did so good against the Chiefs a couple weeks ago. He's going to light it up. Well, they're playing the Buccaneers, and the Buccaneers aren't the best defense against wide receivers, but they're not the worst, and they have a cornerback named Carlton Davis. I like this guy. He's good. He's good.
He's good.
He's
good.
good.
And so I can see a situation where Henry Ruggs doesn't have the best fantasy week. It's kind of a reach for a sit here, but I think that there's a decent. If you have Henry Ruggs on your team, you most likely have better options because I think he's a rookie. I don't think he got drafted super high. I can't even remember what was he going in with drafts.
Fantasy Jeff?
Yeah.
I can't.
He was going in the later rounds. Yeah.
Yeah. So that being said, I think you have better options there. I'm gonna fade Henry Ruggs this week.
Yeah, and I mean what
Against
Derek
the
Carr
Buccaneers.
needs to throw the ball to Henry Ruggs deep is, I mean, it only takes like 2 seconds for him to get down where he needs to go. But I mean, if he has no lineman, I mean,
But if he's only getting 1 second. to
yeah,
throw
if
the
he's
ball.
only getting 1 second to throw the ball, he's gonna have a hard time throwing it deep. So yeah, I'm with you with that.
Yeah,
Right now, he's just Henry
go get him
Ruggs.
if he's available on your waiver wire. Though tough matchup this week, but I mean, like we said, we saw what he could do a couple weeks ago, and he's that big play guy. Finally healthy after injuring the hamstring. Go get him and just throw him on your bench for now at least. It's good to have him than not to have him.
Yeah, I still think he's valuable, but
Dude, I think he has 11 targets on the year. I feel like 9 of them are like over 50 yards.
yeah.
Well,
Legitimately,
that's what he was in college.
Yeah.
He big play guy. So
He actually changes Derek Carr's, like we joke about him Captain Checkdown, but when he's out there, he's like, "Hey Ruggs, you know what to do."
They got you, buddy.
we'll never expect it.
They,
Like, hey, I'm faster
they
than
think
them.
I threw
I was
it
like, I
underneath.
know, so I'm gonna throw it to you.
He's like, I'm gonna run really fast. Are you sure you can throw that far?
Really fast.
Really fucking fast.
Really fucking fast. All right, let's move on to next guy here. We got Jerry Jeudy. Why are we fading Jerry Jeudy? The poor guy. Drew Lock's back. What's going on here?
Hey, Mr. Lock.
Hey, what's going on?
I just hold on, give me 1 second. Let me repull. I switched over to Jerry Jeudy numbers. Here we go. Jerry Jeudy, I mean, 4 targets, 5 targets. Tim Patrick is, I don't want to say he's been a little bit more involved than Jerry Jeudy the last few weeks. I mean, 2 catches in back-to-back weeks. They're playing the Chiefs, who people think when you're playing the Chiefs, like, oh, they're going to be losing. They're going to have to throw the ball a lot. But the Kansas City Chiefs are bottom 10, only 20 points to the receiver position. They're averaging 20 points to the receiver position on the year. Only giving up 6 touchdowns through the air. That's towards the bottom. I just kind of, with the pressure Kansas City can get and the prediction of a lower target volume, I'm fading Jerry Jeudy this week. I'm not necessarily tying it to the names, thinking that he's the one. I mean, now Noah Fant's back too this week too, so it's only going to make those targets kind of spread out even more. So, if he doesn't find the end zone, I think he has potential for a real bust game.
I agree. Yeah, it's tougher. Like I said, Noah Fant's coming back. That'll just eat into the production. And Tim Patrick's kind of, he's kind of taken over like that Cortland Sutton role of like the, the deep threat guy in the offense. KJ Hamler might return as well. So just, more mouths to feed in that offense. But better days for Jerry Jeudy ahead.
Oh,
too.
yeah,
I mean, that
for sure.
guy's,
I think
he's,
so, too.
He's super talented. On Instagram, they'll just have like random like videos of him like running routes, and like he won't even get the ball thrown to him because like whoever it was, like O'Driscoll or Brett Rippon was the quarterback at the time. But there's just some of these routes that he's running and how open he can get is just he's got the cornerbacks like doing circles, and he'll with his footwork and his route running. So yeah,
He good.
he's good.
He good. All right, we can go on to our starts for the tight end position. We got TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah, got a little bit of TJ Hawkules over here. I threw him in here. I know he's
Hercules.
kind of I know he's like a top 12 tight end. A lot of people, he's rostered in over 90% of leagues, but I was looking on ESPN and NFL. He's being started in under 50% of leagues right now. That number needs to be jumped up more to like 100%, in my opinion. Yeah, he needs to be started in a lot more leagues.
If
than
you have
just under
Travis
50%.
Kelsey, you start fucking TJ Hawkinson.
Well, no, obviously not.
I'm
But
kidding,
I
I'm
mean,
kidding.
I definitely think
No.
that even if you're in 8-man leagues, I think you could warrant starting TJ Hawkinson in 8-man leagues.
I mean, I keep playing Evan Ingram in an 8-man
these
league.
players, yeah.
I want to kill myself.
I mean, yeah, like we said, Stafford is a good matchup against the Falcons, and the Falcons have just struggled. They've allowed the third most receptions to tight end, the second most receiving yards to tight end, and the most touchdowns to tight ends. So, yeah, I like my guy Stafford, and, it's only going to help Stafford to have a guy like TJ Hawkinson out there, and he's at a safe floor in PPR. It's nothing sexy, but he's gotten you 9 or more PPR points each and every week. At least he's not putting up dud games like Evan Ingram. I mean, you got Gesicki putting up a 0. Hayden Hurst has been all over the place. So, Jimmy Graham's been touchdown or bust. So at least you're going to get a safe floor with him. And then on top of that, it's a money matchup against the Atlanta Falcons. So, yeah, love me some TJ Hawkinson.
TJ Money Hawkinson.
TJ Money Hawkinson.
All right.
For your boy T.
For your boy T. We got next one here. We got Jimmy Graham.
I mean,
What?
Tyler's faster than Jimmy Graham.
I'm dusting Jimmy. You see this mohawk, dude? It makes me more aerodynamic than Jimmy Graham. But he's bald. Does that make it better?
Is Jimmy Graham your start?
Yeah.
Okay. I just was making sure I didn't get it.
Yeah, I
out
mean,
of the way.
Jimmy Graham, low key, he's actually been decent. I mean, I know he's not having those monster games. And I mean, when I'm talking about Jimmy Graham, I'm not like saying he's going to go out there and have 7 for 110 and, have a massive game. But I mean,
Like a Kelsey game.
like a Kelsey game, exactly. But I mean, at least 5 targets in every game except for one of those games. I just except. 5 receptions, 3 receptions, 4, 6, 3. So in a PPR, he's been decent. I mean, he's only averaging about 30 to 40 yards. So, but he's gotten in the end zone 4 times already. And then the other part of it, on the flip side of this, is, I mean, if you think that the Los Angeles Rams are going to completely shut down the outside passing options, I mean, the targets. If Allen Robinson isn't going to see, 10 to 15 targets, these targets have to go somewhere. So, I mean, I think Jimmy Graham has a decent shot to get 7 targets to maybe 8 as an upside in that. I mean, he's had 7, 8, 9 on the year. So it wouldn't surprise me to see that. And then I think as far as the red zone upside, I mean, he's got pretty good red zone upside. So I like Jimmy Graham this week.
Yeah, definitely one of the better red zone upside, touchdown upside plays for the tight end position.
And it's almost like he's decent in both formats because he is getting about 3 to 4 receptions a game, with the year. So it gives him a decent PPR floor, but he also does have, a pretty high touchdown upside. So it's not like you can't start him in a standard because he's only getting about 40 yards. It's like, no, he's actually scoring in 4 or 6 games. So I think you can roll Jimmy Grandpa out there and do worse.
Do it. Fucking put him on your squad. Start him. I had to add this template in here because I forgot. I forgot to put my guys in all these.
Yeah, dude, this is my guy, but you got it in like 10 seconds before.
Yeah, my bad.
Nah, it's your guy.
I actually felt bad. I was like, oh, I'll give it to you. We got Dalton Schulz here, all right? It sounds gross. I know. I don't want to start the fucking Cowboys backup tight end. But you got to look at the numbers. And I looked at those numbers. Washington football team is who they're playing. Washington's allowing 11.4 fantasy points per game to the tight end position. They've allowed what is it? They're kind of like middle tier, to be honest, on defense. But I think the Cowboys are going to be chasing. I think it's going to be a decent start for Dalton Schulz.
They're the fifth best matchup as far as total yardage and touchdown goes. The Washington football team. So they do give up, like you said, they're
giving up a lot of touchdowns. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, and they're a lot better against receivers than
yards.
They are tight ends. That's why I'm kind of caveating with you because I was looking at his numbers as well. They're a tougher team for receivers in general than they are for tight ends. I mean, they're the second worst. I mean, as far as fantasy points in the year, Washington Redskins are. I'm gonna call the Redskins for that, but Washington football team is the second giving up the second least fantasy points to wide receiver position on the year, and that's right after the Los Angeles Rams. So to your point is that the receivers have struggled with them. Now they have kind of elite weapon options with that, but I mean, bottom 2 option when it comes to receivers and top 5 for tight ends. So I just think it kind of like lends itself towards a good game script for Dalton Schulz.
Yes.
That now we just made it our start.
Yeah.
I
That's
agree.
because I kept going back
picked him
and
in one
forth.
of the leagues. He's on the waiver wire, and I was going to hold on to him. Then I made a trade for Noah Fant, and then
He made another trade.
And then the news with Mixon broke that he was going to be out, and Gio was on the waiver wire, so I had to drop him for Gio. But I saw him on the waiver wire, and I was like, man, I went out and tried to get him instantly, but I had to drop for Gio.
By the way, this is my bonus tight end I love this week. You guys both did yours. I got David Njoku's playing, so if you're in a real big pinch, they play the Bengals. They allow 10 points per game. 4th most yards to tight end. 5th most receptions to a tight end. There's no Hooper. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I mean Hooper was going to be my start, but then he's not there. So
yeah, so just a thought.
That's our bonus now.
Possibly, yeah, it's our bonus. All right, we can move on to the next guy here. We got for our sit, Tyler Higbee.
Yeah, I mean outside of his, it was like 3 touchdown game. I mean he's
the one week we totally got in a.
I mean he hasn't really been done much since then in a matchup where the Bears defense is just kind of limiting to opposing teams to almost nothing. I'm not going to trust Tyler Higbee. He has a hand that popped up in the injury report, which I don't think that's going to hold him out of the game. But kind
of need your hand to catch the football, though.
You kind of do too. That's a good valid point. Well played. But I mean, outside of that 3 touchdown game, he hasn't had more than 4 targets. I'm not trusting a 4 target type of tight end at this point, especially against the Bears defense. No. I don't care if he's your boy T. No.
Yeah.
It's definitely a no for me, though.
I'm pissed that that's cut out, but we got my sit here. We got Rob Gronkowski.
Sitting the Gronk spike, dude?
Dude. Yeah. I'm sitting the Gronk spike. I think a lot of people are going to be excited for Gronk because of the game. Last week he got more involved, but they're playing the Raiders. I just can't see him repeating the same thing. I know you're getting excited, but I think you have a better option on your squad besides Gronk. At this point, hopefully, he's been pretty shitty the rest of the season besides last week. But yeah, it's not the sexiest start to me. Sorry, hold on.
For sure, yeah. I mean, they could be blowing out the Raiders. This could be a heavy Ronald Jones game. Maybe they don't need to throw the ball a ton because they're just, up and they're just, ground and pounding, getting the win and getting out.
Yeah, the Raiders are only allowing 6.4 yards or 6.4 fantasy points to the tight end position. Only allowed 2 touchdowns on the year. Only allowed 18 receptions.
And 200 yards.
200 yards, yeah.
Got you. Yeah, I mean, the Raiders have actually been pretty tough against tight ends, to your point. And then, I mean, I think there's also the potential that this could be a potentially bigger Ronald Jones game than we're kind of expecting.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe some people were expecting.
I'm about to start Leonard Fournette. Just kidding.
Deep.
We got your last guy. We got Hayden Hurst here.
Yeah, so Hayden Hurst, my guy in the preseason, he hasn't really panned out too much for what I was expecting. I was kind of hoping he would take over that Hooper role in this Falcons offense. But, I mean, he's been all over the place. He's been more touchdown dependent more than anything. But then the matchup is just not good for Hayden Hurst right here. The Lions have allowed 96 yards to tight ends. 96 yards in 5 games. That's not good for if you're trying to start a tight end against the Lions. You don't start your tight ends against the Detroit Lions. They've allowed 10 receptions to the tight ends in 5 games and only 22 targets to the tight ends. They are the number 1 defense against tight ends. So when you have matchups when you have players like Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Russell Gage, even Gurley and Brian Hill out of the backfield, I'll take those guys, over Hayden Hurst, who's going to have a super tough matchup against the Detroit Lions. So, yeah, I'll be sitting Hayden Hurst this week.
The crazy part of fantasy football is, he'll go out and have 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Probably.
That's the most frustrating thing.
It's like
And then that stat will be so skewed next week.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, shit like that happens. We'll be looking at all these numbers, and then sometimes you're just like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah, for sure. All right.
That's it for me, dog.
That's it for me, dog. I think that's all of them, eh? That's all she wrote. I'm
And
a
that's
floating
all.
head because I got this thing on and it looks like I'm floating. Thank you for listening to the AVG Fantasy Football Podcast. You want to hit that fucking intro, bro? Dude, that's what
Outro.
happens when you don't.
Outro. Don't play Jurassic Park and call you a fucking idiot. You fucking stupid.
It just hurt my ears, dude. It scared me, to be honest.
You were an angry elf.
No, dude. You're so angry.
Honestly, I'm mostly playing a part.
Dude, bro, the fucking.
The testosterone high today.
Yeah, the testosterone is hot today.
I don't think you were playing a part right there.
I think I was.
All right, I gotta go to work, so.
He's
Don't
out.
yell at me, Mike.
All
How
right.
do you get up in the middle of the fucking episode?
Well, it's like, do you ever see?
You're right, I agree with you.
Okay. All right.
Sorry, I gulped.
Hold on. I was pulling up some reviews so we can read these out to people. I'm like all over the place today.
I mean, it is 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Our time.
And I'm supposed to go drive to Arizona right now.
Or are you?
Yeah.
Do you want me to drop you off?
Yeah. Drop me off in Arizona.
Do you want me to drop you off for your car?
Yeah. Drop me off. Okay. So, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, I always read these out. At the end, I'm trying to find one that we haven't read yet. We got here. Mikey Ruckus says, solid podcast. A lot of great info on the upcoming season for fantasy football. Thanks for helping me with my FF picks. Thanks, Mikey Ruckus.
Thanks, Mikey. And you're
Thanks. Thanks. Thank you for that. But yeah, if you want to get featured in the next episode of the AVG Fantasy Football Podcast, go ahead, leave us a review. We'll read it out on the podcast.